I get asked all the time about drill bits and screw sizes, tap sizes, you name it. So I think maybe it's time to address this and address some of my thoughts on this. First of all, let's talk about the drill. I've used a variety of drills. I've had this one now for quite a while. It's a Bosch, but what I love about it is it's a pistol grip. The battery fits into the handle, so it's very easy to use. The charge lasts forever. I've been so happy with this drill. This is one of the best purchases I've probably ever made. So naturally, that's the starting point, because we're going to drill out Hot Wheels. And we're not actually going to do it in this video. I'm just going to go over what I use and why I use it and what I don't use. And I want to hear your thoughts on it too, because I think some of the things I'm going to say, a lot of people won't agree with necessarily. But just a little Hot Wheels. You know, the typical thing is to get rid of the ring that holds the base onto the car. And as far as what size drill bit I use, I just have a bunch of scrap drill bits around. And generally, I'll pick one out that just seems to fit best, that it will take the drill, the rivet off, take the ring of the rivet off without doing too much damage. And these particular ones have indentions in the rivet, so that's easy enough. But I've been using, I saw these on Paul over at Fat Guy Production, introduced a lot of the community to the VIX style bit. And what's nice about the VIX, or shielded drilling, is that it fits into a notch. This works great on red lines. And so it can fit in there. You can do the drilling, and as you can see here, it's going to stay there. It's not going to run on you. And so ever since starting to use these a lot more, I don't use this. Originally, it was like everybody said, get a tap. You have to tap the rivet and stuff. The VIX bits really seem to help me get around that. I haven't used the tap, this to basically make the indentation in a long time. And calling it a tap is the wrong thing. I just can't think of what it is right now. But the punch, because basically you press it and then it pops and makes the indentation into the rivet. I haven't really used this, and I've even found myself, this is stupid, but on the shielded drilling, I've been able to like just hold the outside sometimes when I wanted to drill. These can work really well. But push comes to shove, it's just getting that top of the rivet off. Then when you want to talk about actually drilling to put a screw in, I buy sets. I basically get 256 for most cars. It's 256 size tap and drill sets. Or for the red lines, I get the 172 size because it's smaller and will work on those tiny posts. And then from Bright Vision and Second Chance red lines, this tap handle works great. I've tried different things. This works best for me. It may not work for you, but it's cheap and easy and light and works. For me, it works fantastic. So I buy these in sets. I get these off Amazon. You know, they're cheap enough. In addition to that, because the bits don't always last as long as the taps do, and then obviously the tap is to make the threads into the hole you drill. I just get these 1/16 inch drill bits. I like them in this kind of almost like a screwdriver type handle. I don't know why I like them better like that. I just do. I find them easier to handle. It just works really well for me. And that's kind of what I'm trying to address here, is what I like to use. Now, when it comes to screws, dear Lord, I have a little bit of everything from 172 size 1/8 inch in different, I'll have like a Phillips head or the hex head. I prefer the hex head because when I put the screw on the screwdriver, it holds it. I can use a magnet on here to accomplish the same thing with the Phillips head. But I ended up with a variety of screw sizes because I usually will buy them, say, in 100 quantity. Again, I generally get these off Amazon. When you buy 100 of them or 50 of them, they're going to last you a while. I do have a set of washers that I keep handy on those situations where I just need a washer. Again, those are 256 size washers that I get. And so I draw and tap. I use the length of the screw that I want that will hold the chassis onto the body tight. And again, you know, that's if you screw these things together. I prefer to screw them together. And when I started, it was like that was the way to do it. It's like almost like you're supposed to screw them together. My view on that has kind of changed over time. I still do it, but I don't know. There's almost like a snobbish attitude that you have to do this or else you're not doing it right, which I've grown to believe is horse pucky. I'm not sure what else I can call it and get away with it. But, you know, if you're doing a real restoration, if you're doing a restoration, if that's what you're trying to abide to, you know, then you should be, I mean, God bless Martin Dares. Martin Dares, Dinky Restorations. He does all kinds of casting, does fantastic work. And what Martin does is he uses actual rivets. And you can buy them. You know, you can get actual rivets and you drill the hole and then you put it back in. And if you ask me, that's the closest you're going to get to a real restoration. And that, if you're going to be snobbish about it, that's the way you should be doing it. Don't tell me that if you don't put a screw in a casting, you're not doing it right. You know, that would be a true restoration to me. And if you're doing something else, then you're kind of wavering away from that. You know, you're picking and choosing in a way. Honestly, I don't see any problem if you want to glue these things together. That's fine. I mean, what's the harm in it? You know, it's easy enough to use super glue to hold these things together. It's easy enough to, if you want to do the screws, that's fine. But I look back on all the ones I've done with screws, and there haven't been that many times after I've put them together I've had to take them back apart. So what was the advantage to using the screws? And for the restorations, quote marks, that I've done, I've never used rivets. So in a way, I have modified them a little. It's not a real restoration, I guess, if you want to call that a restoration. I guess I'm looking at this as if you do a piece of artwork and it's sitting there, does it matter if you use a wire on the back of the frame to hold that artwork up, or you have a couple hooks on it or something else to hold it upright? It's the art itself. And so if you do a beautiful car restoration and it's sitting there, it looks beautiful, isn't that what's important? And not really whether you screw it together or, you know, use glue to hold it together or whatever. You know, I appreciate that people want, I think too many people try to say what's right and what's wrong. And it's like, do what works for you. Do what makes you happy. And I guess don't be snobbish about what you're doing. Don't look down on the other guy, if that makes any sense, of how he's choosing to do it. If you're just doing customs, do them however you want to do them. You know, if you're doing restorations and you want it to be like a true restoration, I think if you're coming up short of the rivets, you know, don't look down on somebody who glues their restoration together if you're not at the other end using a rivet, because the screw you use really isn't any better than somebody just gluing it together. I don't know. It's just my opinion. And, for what it's worth, and it's virtually worth nothing. But I guess what I'm trying to say is be comfortable in what you're doing. And understand that, there isn't really a wrong to this. So have fun doing these things. Let me know your thoughts.